Today, I'm going to go over the silver farming tier list. Unlike other tier lists, I'm not going to just have an image with a bunch of different little squares representing farming. I'm going to discuss all of the different methods of farming, and unlike other tier lists, I'm going to start with the S rank, or the best ways to farm silver, explain the how, explain the why, and all of that stuff, and then we're going to work our way down to A, B, C, and then of course, F. So what makes silver farming better than others? Besides just how much silver you make, obviously, there's many things to consider. Is it safe to do? Do you make lots of silver doing it? Is it stress-free? Is it easy? Is it always available, or only sometimes part of the day? Can you do it by yourself? Do you need a guild to do it? Do you need to be social to do it? Is it friendly to very new players as soon as they, play the game for the first time? Can you do it quickly, and is it simple to do? Number one in S rank is gathering. That's right, I know, I literally just used it as an example, but a brand new player first starting to the game in their first hour can push 200,000 silver per hour in a tier 4 blue zone. I made a 5-hour video almost showing this off, and it is completely possible. Whereas once you reach tier 8, you have premium active, you've got the Avalonian tools. In the same tier 4 blue zone, you can push 1.2 million per hour. That's right. This thing scales incredibly well. It's completely safe. You will never lose doing this. You will never lose silver. You will never lose money. You will never lose gear. Everyone can do it. You can do it at any time of the day. It does not matter. The only thing that might affect it is how much competition in a zone there is, but you can always just go to another zone and gather there. And tier 4 blue zones are generally not that packed full of people. So it is very, very good as far as making silver. A brand new player, 200k will buy you a 4.3 weapon. It'll buy you 4.3 armor in just this is per hour, okay? Whereas the veteran player, 1.2 million per hour, you can buy an 8.3 weapon in like 3 to 4 hours. And in a single sitting, you can get the best weapons in the game if you want. Coming in at number 2, also S rank, is faction fighting. This is a completely safe zone activity. I am not talking about bandit events. If you're a new player and you just simply follow a blob around and capture outposts, you'll make over 200,000 silver per hour doing this, and it's very, very lucrative, whereas a veteran player can just go solo outpost themselves, or they can just go 1v1 people in an enemy territory and make over 800,000 per hour doing this. And this is, again, without bandit. If you do bandit, you'll make more, but there's higher risk involved. You can only do it at certain times of the day, and it really depends if your group wins or not. So just running around and ganking people, which is probably the most fun thing to do in this game, it's very, very good silver per hour. It's consistent, it's easy to do, and it actually gets better when there's less people online because there is less of a share to go around for the defense points. So you'll earn way more silver. Like if I'm one of the first players to log in on the server and I just immediately cap an outpost, I get 10,000 faction points in 1 minute and 30 seconds, which is huge, huge points. Number 3 is using focus alts. Now, a brand new player who does not have a big bankroll, they can still make around 800,000 per hour doing this, and a veteran player with a huge bankroll can make over 6 million silver per hour doing this. It is kind of tedious, it is boring, it doesn't really grow your character, but because it's super easy to do, it's super simple to do, the only problem with it is you have to let these characters marinate 3 days. Other than that, it's one of the best, easiest, laziest ways to make silver in this entire game. And I would tell you how to do it, but that's for channel members only. And finally for S rank, unfortunately, it is card swiping. Now, here's the breakdown for West. If you make $8 an hour in US dollars, then you're basically making 7 million silver per hour, all right? And of course, if you're a fancy pants with a nice job making $64 an hour, you're basically farming 56 million silver per hour. For example, when I used to be a retail manager, my 60-hour work week would translate into 542 million silver, which, for me, I didn't have that much silver in this game until like my first or second year playing almost 19 hours a day. That's how ridiculous it is, and that's why it's an S tier. Now let's go to A rank, soloing group dungeons. This is blue and yellow zone. I'm not talking about black zone statics or black zone solo dungeons. Those are possible. They are very risky, though, because they do not really close for a long time. You may have a gank party behind you. It is not new player viable at all. It requires extremely high tier gear and maximum specs to do efficiently and fast. This makes about 2 million silver per hour at 5 minutes per dungeon floor. That's right, I can solo a dungeon floor in 5 minutes. Next up is crafting. In my example, I will be using a max tier chef. The reason why is this is one of the cheapest things in the game to max out at only around a 111 million. This will make you 2.4 million minimum on a bad day, or over 5 million plus, and it only takes 15 minutes of work a day, and it's per chef. So if you have multiple maxed out chefs, every 15 minutes you spend on those maxed out chefs per day, you can make multiple millions. Laborers are the next one. These can make you 1 to 10 million per hour. That's how long it takes to feed them. I'm not talking about filling journals. I'm not talking about doing the math on buying journals that are filled, which is usually a terrible idea, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's really, really good. But it really depends on what you do in this game. So if you craft bows, you're obviously going to have Fletcher laborers. If you're, a tinkerer and you make gathering gear, you're going to have tinkerer journals and so on and so forth. But you really, really, really need to set up laborers as soon as possible. And I know SBI recently changed it, where to make your own guild is way expensive, and the guild island is even more expensive, and then the price of stone has been going up due to the announcement for the new updates. But laborers, the sooner you set them up, the sooner they will just start generating more and more and more money. I have hundreds of islands, and I have I do have every laborer in the game, actually. I have hundreds of every laborer. I don't use them all. I almost never use my fisherman laborers because I don't personally fish. But when I do fish, that's just extra free money for fishing. I get free money for mob grinding, from gathering, from doing everything in this game. Finally, in A rank, we have flipping. This is where you go and you place buy orders for cheap, and then you immediately go, once someone sells you those items, you sell them for 1 silver under the current sell order, which can sometimes double your money or triple it or even more. Now, this is something you need to do for hours a day in every town, because all the markets are not linked, they're all individual markets. And you also need quite a hefty amount of silver to even start this. Like, I'm sitting on 100 million liquid right now, which would be more than plenty to do flipping, even on higher tier items, but sometimes it takes a while to see the payout. For instance, I knew 2 people that did this, and they made around 200 million silver in a month doing this. And what they had to do was they would basically constantly go to each town. They would spend like most of their day. They would say go to Bridgewatch, and then they would go to the market, and then they would overcut everyone on their buy orders. And then once they get a bunch of products to sell, they would undercut everyone by one. And by the time they went to Limhurst and then, Fort Sterling and Caerleon and all that, by the time they made it back to Bridgewatch, they had to manage hundreds and hundreds of more buy and sell orders just in that amount of time. So it was like an all-day job for them. So for me, it's A rank just if you do it 1 hour a day on a small amount of stuff that you can easily manage. Whereas these guys were doing it on basically every possible item in the entire game. So they were very hardcore. And they were making 200 million per month doing it from almost nothing. I think they started with like a couple million doing it. Moving on to B rank, we have corrupted dungeons. Now, depending on how good you are and how fast you clear, and the luck of the dungeon layouts, and the luck of how often you get invaded, because this is for ratting, I didn't put it up on the screen, but this is just simply killing the bosses, getting the loot, and going to the next floor. This is not fighting players. This is if someone invades you, you break the crystals, and you continue farming. You can make anywhere from 500,000 to 1.6 million per hour doing it in a build that you can clear in under 7 minutes, which is very gratuitous for most builds. So, again, if you can clear in like 4 to 5 minutes, then you can probably pump these numbers up even more so. Now, the reason this is B rank is because it's hard to do. It's also luck dependent on invasions, and because sometimes people invade you, and you're just screwed. You can't run from them, they will get the kill, and you lose a lot of time whenever you are like 4 dungeons deep, and you have a near full inventory, and someone happens to invade you right before you get to the boss, and you just lose it all. So it is painful sometimes to do this, and that's why it's B rank. Also, if you're wondering about Slayer Corrupted Dungeons, I've never had high enough infamy because I don't play the meta. I have tried Slayer Corrupted Dungeons, like I have enough to enter them, right? I have 118k, right? 131k was my highest, apparently, but whenever I did Slayer Corrupted Dungeons, yes, I could clear slightly faster. I got invaded way more times, my sets were far more expensive, and the loot wasn't honestly any better. I didn't notice any change in the loot. Alright, number 2 is ratting mists. Now, believe I've put out a video on how to do this. The reason why this is B rank is not because of the risk or anything. It's simply because you need full-blown maximum specs so you can successfully do it in your flat 4 gear. That's the only thing. Like, if you try to do this as a new player, you'll just tickle everybody. You need like 100 spec in the entire weapon and armor lines to be able to pull this off effectively and efficiently, right? I just want to point out, too, that if a player in 8.3 or 8.4 geared is regarded by the community, not by me. I didn't set this term. They're called Chads. They're not called Kings. I don't know why some YouTubers are trying to suddenly change the vernacular for that to King. They're called Chads. I'm going to go ahead and put ratting world bosses here, too. Ratting world bosses does not require high specs, though it really helps you to survive some attacks. Ratting world bosses is just booping enemies into raid monsters so that they get down and then you execute them and take their loot. Both ratting mists and world bosses make anywhere from 2 to 4 million per hour. As of this week, I've been making 6 million per hour doing it. It's insane. Like, everyone, I don't know if it's like a new batch of players that suddenly formed a guild or something on West, but it is very lucrative right now. I think maybe because like other rats have quit the game. I don't know. I don't usually see the other rats. I think the one guy that runs a YouTube channel just stopped uploading suddenly. What's up with that? Next up is transporting to and from Caerleon. This is not heart transports. We'll talk about that later. This is taking goods from one city and taking it to Caerleon for either the black market exchange or just the market itself. This can be very lucrative. However, as of late, I don't know what's been going on, but there is an increase of gankers lately. And it seems even on my alt characters that do not identify as a YouTuber at all, my alt characters who aren't crafters, they have no fame, no anything, right? Except for some just basic kill fame, you know, just to blend in, and they're not even using transport mounts. Even they are getting killed by ganker groups, so I don't know if these ganker groups have found some sort of exploit or new method to fast farm reputation, but normally gankers don't kill you if you're not worth anything, but it seems like some of these gank groups have an infinite reputation farm somewhere in the world. I don't know what's going on, but if you do manage to safely transport to Caerleon, you can make a huge buck. Oh, as for the silver rate, the highest I've ever done is 1 million per minute. Now, to get to Caerleon, especially when avoiding gankers and riding on a slower transport, it's somewhere around 8, 9, under 10 minutes to get there, like from Bridgewatch at least. And, you know, that's dodging gankers and stuff on average. Sometimes it's faster, sometimes it's much slower, but when you transport high-yield goods that flip massively in Caerleon, it averages to 1 million silver per minute. It's insane. But of course, if you die, that alters it massively. That can really set you back huge. Next up, unfortunately, is scams. It is a viable, and apparently, according to SBI, it is a legal way to make silver. There are so many scams out there. I'm talking about the dueling scams, where it's like, hey, only fight me with just a weapon for like 10 million. And then they swap to a high-spec weapon and they just kick your butt. Or the one where you get you take a guild leader's name that has an L or an I in it, you change it up a little bit, and then you message all of their top officers and stuff, hey, like, grab the mammoth real quick for me. I need the mammoth. I need to do a transport. Get me a mammoth. You know, and so the good little guildie, you know, doesn't want to upset guildmaster, so he goes and he pulls a mammoth out of the storage and he gives it to this guy, and then the guy just sells it. It's insane, and it's totally allowed. You got those Discord servers. It's like, hey, we're the Bank of Caerleon. You know, every silver you donate, we will pay back 15% in 2 weeks. And then, you know, they just delete the server when they have enough money. It's so stupid that people fall for this crap. Down to C rank, okay? First one is begging. If you just sit in town and beg for money, you're going to pull over 200,000 per hour. People are very generous in this game for some reason. I don't know why. I've personally not done this. The data I am telling you comes from another YouTuber who massively tested this for about 2 weeks straight on a character that did not identify as that YouTuber. I'm not going to tell you who it is because they might be making a video about it at some point. I don't know. But essentially, they were making 200,000 per hour just, you know, typing in nice grammar in the /say chat, just standing around town. They made the most money near the market. I don't know what it was with the market, but apparently more people read his chat and gave him more money there than anywhere else. So if you're going to e-beg, do it in the market. Faction heart transports are next in C rank. The reason why this is C rank, even though it's making you 1 million per hour, and you can technically do it as soon as you can faction flag up, is the fact that it's insanely high risk. You are putting a massive investment into doing this, and this 1 million per hour, this is from doing Limhurst to Caerleon, which is the fastest one that makes you the most money. However, it also has the most gankers that will kill you, you have to have a grizzly. You can't even do it on a boar. They will kill you, take your grizzly, take your hearts, take your gear, and it's over. You are so far deep in the hole from doing this, and you don't grow your character at all. You do not advance your character. There is no reason to do this. The only reason it exists in the game is so in case there are people on other factions that quit the game. Like if no one's flagging up for Limhurst anymore, the only way to get Limhurst hearts is to do the faction trading. That's the only way. This one is entirely luck dependent and how aggressively you can, do this. But if you go to Twitch streams and YouTubers, unfortunately, SBI does not like me. They don't give me codes to give away to anybody. I wish they did, but unfortunately, they don't like that I called them janitors over 3 years ago, and they've never forgiven me for it. So I don't get giveaways. I don't get to do giveaways, but other YouTubers do, and other Twitch streamers do, and most of the time it just involves like joining their Discord or typing /giveaway in their chat. And for members only, I've shown them how they can almost always win these giveaways through clever use of internet mechanics. But other than that, the reason it's C rank is simply because most people don't have the internet know-how to do that sort of thing, and so for them it's entirely RNG luck. Sometimes some streamers only have like 20 entrants to like a month of premium. So like 1/20th% of a chance to get premium is not bad when you think about it, because premium is super expensive. But just sitting in someone's chat and typing /giveaway or something is, it's easy silver, it's easy money, easy loot, easy mounts. You just have to participate. That's all you got to do. But the reason it's so low on the list is because of the luck. Next up is gold flipping. Now, some people have complained that you can only sell 500 per day, and that is incorrect. Whenever you try to sell more than 500 per day, there should be a pop-up that tells you to email Sandbox Interactive. And if you do, they'll approve you to do more than 500 per day. At least, that's how it was back in my day. I can buy and sell an infinite amount of gold if I want to. However, the reason this is in C rank is because right now, the gold market does get a little stale sometimes. Usually when games update, it'll spike back up. And now that there are 2 servers, most of the gold flippers have moved to East because there's more players, there's a bigger market, there's more money to be made there, and there's more players there. So I don't know what will happen on West. I can't predict the future, but it's also another reason it's in C rank is it doesn't really make you that much until you have hundreds of millions of silver to play with, which most people aren't going to save up that much. It's going to burn a hole in their pocket and they're going to go buy a bunch of stuff with it. First up on F rank is solo dungeons in the yellow zone. Apparently this is going to be fixed in the next major update. They're going to change how loot works from the black market into the chests. Because ever since the roads happened and people quit and the black market bots stopped working and the black market got altered massively, you don't hardly get any loot anymore in Yellow Zone dungeons, especially without premium. You could, there's been people that have pushed this number with subpar builds to 450,000 per hour doing this, but me with a speed clear build playing optimally without premium still only made around 300,000 per hour. So the reason this is in F rank is because there's no reason to do a solo dungeon at all. Like, the silver per hour is garbage. You could do anything else and make more silver per hour. It's also not building your character properly because you could just do open world mobs for fame if you're new. You can do solo statics or solo group dungeons if you're experienced. And there's just no reason to do a solo dungeon right now at all. We have number 2, the tutorial island farming, which is Rough Stone and Mules. Now, if you are brand new to Albion Online, these are totally fine to do to get you some starter cash. Absolutely. But once you have your character started, you make more silver per hour gathering, which also grows your gathering power, as in it levels you up, so you have no reason to do it. Now, used to, you would just, like if Rough Stone gets wild on the market, like I'm talking over 200 silver per Rough Stone, yes, absolutely go make a new character, farm some Rough Stone, because it's the best silver per hour you can possibly do when it's that high. But right now, the market is around 80 to 90 per rough stone, so you're better off just gathering hide or regular stone for 40 to 60 per material. Number 3 is anything that involves guilds. Alright, so you sell your soul to a guild, you get paid to be their little scout, and set AFK on your ox so that you can report anyone that tries to enter their dungeons, or static zone, or Avalonian raid, or even just the zone in general. You know, you sit there like a good little boy on their Discord, and they pay you a tiny little amount of silver, maybe a couple million, maybe 5 to 10 million even, actually. But you know what? You know what? How much silver that you made that guild? You probably made them tens to hundreds of millions of silver. And this involves anyone that's also brand new. You join a new guild, hey, guess what? The guild is taxing you. Oh, you farm in their black zone? Hey, guess what? The guild's black zone is taxing you. Why would you play a video game to make someone else more rich? Why are you helping other people achieve their goals and not yourself? This makes zero sense. And finally, the last of the F tier, skins, items, mounts, and equipment. Basically, any just regular item in the game. The reason why skins went from S tier to F tier is because now all of the old skins, except for the very early referral ones, are all back in rotation. No more new skins. We're just going to get the old skins once again, over and over and over, year after year after year. So they're just going to be back in the market year after year, which means they no longer build value because they will be available once again at some point later in the future. Items have a depreciating value because of the constant power raising done by SBI. We got used to 8.3 Masterpiece was it. Once you had an 8.3 Masterpiece item, you were best in slot. Now there's 8.4 items. Who knows if there's going to be an 8.5 or a 9.4. We have legendaries coming out in a few months. Legendaries. Imagine my hatred when I bought this Masterpiece 8.4 longbow. It's going to be obsolete in a few months because there's going to be a legendary longbow that'll be even better than this. Why did I even buy this? I don't know. I thought it was going to be the best freaking item in the game for that slot. Not anymore. Mounts, the seasonal mounts you get from the daily bonus, like this little Black Panther here. These used to be very expensive, along with all the other mounts. But it seems that year after year, we're getting the same rotation of special mounts. This Black Panther, which is equivalent to a Rage Claw, is no longer special because next year, this exact same time, it'll be back on the menu. And so these are awful things to invest in. Investing in general is just pretty much dead. Like, I think SBI is trying to kill investing entirely so that old wealth can no longer function in the game. That's all I've got for the video. Thanks for watching. As always, be a bro and stay swole. If you enjoyed this list, let me know. If you think I should have added something, let me know in the comments. If you want to become a channel member for those super secret methods, right down here where my cursor is bouncing, there's a join button. Go ahead and click that. $5 a month. Just like on Twitch, whenever you subscribe, it's $5 there. Here on YouTube, channel memberships, $5 a month. You get access to private, more personal videos. With that said, click the video on the right side of your screen. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the next video. Take care.